Okay, in today's writing lesson, we're going over writing our conclusions. So again, we're going to go back to our BATS essay and try to strengthen our conclusions. So let's learn a little bit more about conclusions. A conclusion, the final important statement. Here's a sample topic sentence. How human brains process music is an exciting field of study, enhanced by new technologies that allow researchers to map brain functions. So this is an example topic sentence. And then here are some sample final statements. And there's three main conclusions that we can use. A basic conclusion, a closing statement, and a clincher. These are the three different types of concluding paragraphs or concluding sentences we can use. So first, let's talk about the conclusion. A conclusion is the most formal final statement. Okay, and here's an example of a conclusion. This research may reveal why music exists in every human culture and may unlock secrets of brain function. It could even lead to new methods for treating people who have suffered strokes or brain injuries. So notice it's all tying back to this topic sentence, and it's a very formal statement. Two sentences. Very formal statement tying up the loose ends. Closing statement is clear and direct. Here's an example using the same topic sentence. Here's an example of using a closing statement to end your essay. Research on how the brain processes music has the potential to help scientists understand how the brain works. Clear, very direct, one sentence. Okay. And then the final way is called a clincher. A clincher feels a bit friendlier and may express more emotion. So let's read an example again using the same topic sentence, this time ending it with the clincher. New technologies have revealed that a person analyzes music in multiple parts of the brain, rather than in one specialized location. Researchers believe such findings may help people who have suffered brain injuries by using tunes to engage healthy sections of the brain to assist injured ones. Just think. Music may have the power to help people heal, so think twice about turning down the radio. So notice it's kind of a personal touch to it, okay? Music may have the power to help people heal, so think twice about turning down the radio. I think I said up the first time, down the radio. Again, it's kind of that personal touch to it, appealing to the reader's sensible side, to the human nature of the reader, rather than something that's just very precise. Now, any of these three are perfectly okay ways to conclude, but you have to make sure that you're tying it back to the topic, okay? And tying it up so the reader has a feeling of, okay, that's everything that I've learned about, and there's not going to be any additional paragraphs or sentences. So kind of summing it up. Okay. All right, let's look at let's review that real quick. So a conclusion ties all the parts together and reminds readers about the topic and the purpose. And we talked about that in yesterday's writing lesson. It completes a paragraph and does not raise new issues. So if you raise new issues, the reader is going to expect to have more to read. Reflects the topic sentence and shares a final observation about the topic. And again, the three different types of conclusions, regular conclusion, formal, facts to consider, gives you food for thought or something for the reader to think about. A closing statement, clear statement, direct and to the point, specific tone, meaning a very formal tone. This is not going to be like you're talking to your friends. Clincher, some emotion, more of a friendly tone, and tends to motivate or inspire perhaps. Now again, be careful though, a clincher, You don't want to go off into writing like you're talking to your friends out at recess. It's still an informational text, so you still want to have some formality to it, make it more formal. But a clincher can have a little bit of emotion involved and a slightly friendlier tone, okay? But don't take it too far, because then it becomes inappropriate for the type of writing that you're doing, okay? If you're going to be goofy and things like that, that's saved for narrative writing. Keep that all out of informative writing, okay? So now that we've kind of gone over these different types of conclusions, what they look like, we're going to practice one. Oh, whoops, let me go here. So in your Google Classroom, you have this same paragraph, this assignment. It says, read the paragraph below and then write 3 final statements, a conclusion, a closing statement, and a clincher. So we have a paragraph here without any kind of conclusion, okay? So we're gonna write in the 3 types, okay? We're gonna, in this paragraph, the 3 different ways that we've learned about. We're gonna write a regular conclusion that's formal, fact gives the reader facts to consider, food for thought or something for the reader to ponder. We're gonna write it as a closing statement. So we're gonna change our ending so it's a clear statement, direct and to the point with a specific tone. And then we're gonna write it as a clincher, okay? Where we have a little slightly friendlier tone with some emotion and maybe motivating words as we end our paragraph. Okay, so let's take a look. Roberto Clemente, baseball superstar and humanitarian. Roberto Clemente has been acclaimed as the greatest right fielder in the history of baseball. Clemente earned many awards as a baseball player, including 4 batting crowns and 12 gold gloves. He was voted the most valuable player in the National League in 1966 and the World Series most valuable player in 1971. He was also a great humanitarian. He cared about people in need and was involved in many outreach efforts to help inner-city kids in Pittsburgh. During the off-season, he held free baseball clinics for young players. He also had a deep commitment to another community in Managua, Nicaragua. And this is actually, we've talked about my cousin Brian Anderson. This is where he lived for 2 years when he went on his mission. He lived in Managua, Nicaragua. Sorry, kind of off topic, but continuing. Where he had once managed a Puerto Rican all-star team during the Amateur Baseball World Series. On December 31st, 1972, he and 4 others took off in a small plane from San Juan, Puerto Rico, to take food and supplies to earthquake victims in Nicaragua. The plane crashed and all on board perished. That means passed away. The Baseball Writers Association immediately voted Roberto Clemente into the Baseball Hall of Fame, waiving the usual 5-year waiting period. Clemente became the first Hispanic to receive this honor. He was only 38 years old when he died. Okay, so first we're going to write a conclusion. So we want to be formal, facts to give facts to consider, food for thought. Let's look at an example. This research may reveal, so we're kind of coming back to the topic. So we want to say something about Roberto Clemente here. So I would say for my concluding sentence, something like, Roberto Clemente will always be remembered, fix that. Remember, not only as a great baseball talent, but also a kind humanitarian. Clemente, I want to add maybe a little more detail. Clemente rose to the top of his sport by winning MVP awards and helped his fellow countrymen in Nicaragua before his untimely death. Maybe something like that, okay? Again, I'm not claiming that's perfect, but that's an idea, that's a conclusion, okay? So again, I go back, it's formal, facts to consider, food for thought, okay? So maybe I do want to add some more, actually, that food for thought part. Roberto Clemente will always be remembered not only as a great baseball talent, but also a kind humanitarian. Clemente rose to the top of his sport by winning MVP awards and helped his fellow countrymen in Nicaragua before his untimely death. Actually, I think that's pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Now, I do want to kind of go back and do some rereading as well, just because I want to, as I go through and I'm adding multiple different endings, it's important that I have a complete understanding of the topic and the subject. So, Roberto Clemente has been acclaimed as the greatest right fielder in the history of baseball. So I think, and here's our topic, superstar and humanitarian. That's going to be our topic. So let's see. He earned 4 batting crowns and 12 gold gloves. I'm going to highlight that, some of his accomplishments. I may want to reference back to that. Most valuable player in the National League and in the World Series. May want to come back to that. He was also a great humanitarian. He cared about people in need and was involved in many outreach efforts to help inner city kids in Pittsburgh. So involved in the outreach programs in Pittsburgh. During the off season, he held free baseball clinics for young children, or young players. He also had a deep commitment to another community in Managua, Nicaragua, where he once managed a Puerto Rican all-star team during the Amateur Baseball World Series. So once managed that team in the Baseball World Series. I may want to highlight that. On December 31st, took food and supplies to earthquake victims in Nicaragua. The plane crashed and all perished. The Writers Association voted Roberto Clemente into the Baseball Hall of Fame, waiving the usual 5-year waiting period. And he was the first Hispanic to ever receive the honor. Okay. So now, closing statement. Let's include a closing statement. If I go back, clear statement, direct and to the point, specific tone. If I look at my other example, research on how the brain processes music has the potential to help scientists understand how the brain works. So in my closing statement, I'm going to be very to the point. Okay, so its closing statement is generally a little shorter. Roberto Clemente. And there's less kind of feeling to it in a closing statement. Roberto Clemente was a great baseball player who made a point to also help people in the communities he lived. So, straight to the point, but comes back to what our topic is about how he is really good at baseball and also a humanitarian, helps the people in his community. Now, a closing statement is fine, but I consider it probably one of the weaker types of conclusions, in my opinion. But again, that's my opinion. I think they're too brief. I prefer a clincher or a regular conclusion. Okay, now let's go to the clincher. What does a clincher need? Some emotion, friendly tone, tends to motivate. The clincher here, new technologies have revealed that a person analyzes music in multiple parts of the brain rather than in one specialized location. Researchers believe such findings may help people who have suffered brain injuries by using tunes to engage healthy sections of the brain to assist injured ones. Just think, music may have the power to help people heal. So think twice about turning down the radio. So our clincher, we want to have a friendlier tone. Let's see, let's go back. Some emotion, friendlier tone, tends to motivate. We all can do things to help others. Roberto Clemente knew this to be true. He gave his all in all of his endeavors. He was the greatest. Whoops. Fix this real quick. He was the greatest, and what did they say in the text? Greatest right fielder. He was the greatest right fielder in the history of baseball. And if that was all he was known for, he would still be considered very accomplished. Clemente didn't stop there. He also gave time and money to many charities. That's wrong. There we go. To many charities. In fact, you could say he died doing what he loved, delivering food and supplies to people in need. I think that's fairly decent. Again, I'm going off the cusp. I haven't gone back and done any editing, but that's a pretty good idea of what a clincher should look like. It's going to have more emotion, friendlier tone. We all can do things to help others. Roberto Clemente knew this to be true. Maybe a little motivation in there as well. He gave his all in all of his endeavors. He was the greatest right fielder in the history of baseball, and if that was all he was known for, he would still be considered very accomplished. Clemente didn't stop there. He also gave time and money to many charities. In fact, you could say he died doing what he loved, delivering, that's a typo, so I am doing a little bit of editing, delivering food and supplies to people in need. Something like that, okay? So you need to include your conclusions in your Step Up to Writing Conclusions page. And then I want you to go back to your BATS essay. I want you to specifically look at your conclusion now and see if you can improve your conclusion. Maybe you decided you want to change your conclusion to a clincher or something like that, where you want to mix it up a little bit or improve it. So go in and edit that and try to make it even better. That's what we do. Try to make things better. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.